Judge Alfred Harrell is a mentor's mentor. This nurturing persona is rooted in his background and can be found in all aspects of his career and life. But first, we need to resolve some controversy as to Judge Al's roots. Is Judge Al Harrell really a native Coloradan? True Colorado natives may dispute this fact because, although he was conceived in Denver, he was actually born in East Orange, New Jersey, while his mother was traveling. Although mom and son came back quickly to Denver after Al's birth, well, you can judge for yourself on this one. Al's early formative years were deeply influenced by grandmother Isla Robbins. He and his mother lived with Isla upon returning to Denver. She was a domestic worker and little Al went to work with her. Always curious and friendly, Al played with the children while she cleaned and ironed. Grandmother Isla was also an accomplished musician, as was his mother, Evelyn, and both encouraged Al in that direction, with little success. Grandmother Isla always inspired Al to achieve new heights and gave him some interesting memories. She raised chickens in her backyard, and every Saturday she would fetch one of the hens and chop off its neck in preparation for Sunday dinner. Al would watch from a distance, and as soon as the headless bird began flopping around, he would run around the yard screaming at the top of his lungs that the chicken was trying to get him. Al's mom and dad divorced when Al was very young. She then met Irving Andrews, a man who would make all the difference in Al's life. Irving loved Al and his brother. He played with Al and read to him. He instilled a love of reading and a thirst for knowledge within Al that would spur him on throughout his life. Al so loved his new dad that he wanted to be like him in every way. When Irving graduated from DU Law School at the top of his class, Al vowed to become a lawyer too. As an African-American lawyer during the 50s, Irving couldn't get a job at a firm, so he opened his own office and became one of Denver's most prominent trial attorneys. Active in the civil rights movement, he became friends with Martin Luther King Jr. Young Al learned some tough lessons about race during this time. He first encountered blatant racism on a family trip when they were repeatedly refused accommodations. This made a huge impression on Al. Many years later, at Irving's insistence, Al went to Washington in March of 1963 and witnessed the I Have a Dream speech by Dr. King.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
These experiences led Al to become active in civil rights protests and in activities to promote equality for the rest of his life. After graduating early from East High School, Al went on to CU in Boulder. It was there that he met Dory on a blind date. Despite differences in cultures and backgrounds, they formed a lasting and loving relationship. Together now for 50-plus years, they're still going strong.
I did not date in high school, and so this was kind of a new experience to have somebody that wanted to go out and do things, and he introduced me to the cultural life of Denver, which I did not participate in while I was growing up. Symphony, movies. We had a great time. It was just something that I was ready for.
To support his growing family during law school, Al worked full-time at the U.S. Veterans Administration and later for IBM and Honeywell. During this time, Al's fro was his signature feature. Like his legend later in life, this feature grew and grew and grew. Al and Dory have 3 beautiful children, Kimberly, Carrie, and Mark. The family continues to grow with 4 grandchildren, Beatrice, Isabella, Hannah, and Julian. A highlight of Al and Dory's weekends is the regular visit from their 3 granddaughters who live in Denver. During these visits, they are exposed to culture, travel, exotic foods, and most importantly, to the warmth and nurture of love and encouragement. Al's education was critical to the development of his own mentoring skills. Throughout his education, Al was motivated and encouraged by his teachers. He often says, "I'm only giving back what I was given as a child." His mentoring passion has led him to provide guidance and support in many areas. His love of football led him to coaching, which combined nurturing with a little rough and tumble as well.
You know, and football's a lot like life. Now, the Denver Bar Association flag football's not a lot like life, but regular football, which the judge is a big fan of, is a lot like life. You know, there's ups, there's downs, there's things you don't have control of. I think the judge understands that, the way he talks to you, the way he, especially an athlete, my role with him on the field. You know, when you're complaining about a bad call or you're complaining about another player, the judge just says, I know, and just has this way of sort of, you know, whispering in your ear and just calming you down and letting you know that everything is going to be all right.
When not coaching sports, Al did find time to practice law. Sworn in at the old Supreme Court, Al joined his father's law office and took it over after Irving became ill. He later joined a small firm and handled serious criminal matters. And then Al started and managed his own practice for 8 years. Friends recognized Al's thoughtfulness, fairness, kindness, and knowledge of the law as key qualities required in successful judges. Although Al had never considered being a judge, they encouraged him to apply. In November 1985, Al was appointed Denver County Court Judge by Mayor Federico Pena. He served 31 years in this position. Being a judge empowered Al to do even more to promote justice, equality, and civility. His participation and support of all bar associations, including the DBA, CBA, Sam Carey Bar Association, LGBT Bar Association, CWBA, Colorado Hispanic Bar Association, and the Asian Pacific Bar Association, are important to his belief in the value of diversity in the profession. He has won many awards for his service. What do his colleagues see in Al? You guessed it, a true mentor's mentor.
I was having a struggle in the courtroom, and Al came to see me on his own, unsolicited. And he gave me a piece of his mind about how I was acting, how people were perceiving me, and some changes I might think about making. And frankly, if it wasn't for that conversation, I don't think my career would have turned out the way that it did, that I would have risen to the level of presiding judge in county court and built the relationships that I have. It gave me the foundation that I needed to become a really thoughtful and introspective judge, not concerned really about myself, but about others. And Al taught me that.
Al has always had a desire to learn about other cultures. He combined that desire with his knowledge of the law when he traveled to the Navajo Nation to teach trial skills. Members of the Navajo Tribal Court Advocates were soon added to his long and diverse list of grateful mentees. Judge Al knows that communication is an important part of effective mentoring. He took immersion Spanish lessons, traveling to Cuernavaca, Mexico 4 different times. It worked so well that Al organized Spanish lessons for his colleagues on the bench.
One of the things that really resonates with me about Judge Harrell is that he's very passionate about bringing people together, bringing attorneys together to meet each other, and expanding everyone's network for their personal and professional development. One of the ways Judge Harrell brings people together is through his involvement in the Inns of Court, since one of the Inns of Court's purposes is to foster relationships amongst attorneys. He's a big advocate for bringing people from the legal community as guests and eventually getting them involved in the Inn of Court.
Closer to home, Al's weekly Thursday breakfasts at dozens with young lawyers and law students have been inspirational to many aspiring litigators. When Al is not mentoring, he and Dory share a love of opera, theater, and film. They enjoy traveling the world to learn about other lands and cultures. No matter how far they travel, Al always looks forward to returning to his native state of Colorado. While some Coloradans might dispute Al's native status, there is no disputing the tremendous impact he has made on our great state. For that little boy who received help from others, remembered it, and gave back not only what he had been given, but a lot more. Please join us in congratulating the recipient of the 2016 Robert H. McWilliams Alumni Professionalism Award, Judge Alfred Harrell.